Joining me now is retired Brigadier General Robert Spalding, the author of the book, The Stealth War, How China Took Over While America's Elite Slept. So, General, I really appreciate you coming on at this very important time because this comes after a Senate intelligence report and, of course, reports in the media as well about Russia is the main kind of topic that a lot of people are talking about when it comes to foreign interference, foreign threats, whatever it may be. Is Russia the biggest threat to the United States at this time?
It really is, and it's a declining economy. It has a declining population. It really has an economy less than the size of Texas. When you look at China, it has a navy far larger than America's. It has, burgeoning nuclear weapons, but most importantly, it has the number 2 economy in the world, and it uses that economy and diplomats and social media companies to influence democracies all over the world.
And I think that that is a good point because this is something that we've been talking about for the better part of years at this point, but it has been ignored for a long time. I mean, China's been pegging its currency to ours. It's been manipulating its different numbers and really stealing manufacturing and productivity from the United States. And this isn't necessarily anything new. So I do want to talk about the very title of your book, actually. The book says, "The blame for China's growing influence is at the feet of America's elite." Can you elaborate on that?
Well, if you look at corporate America, if you look at our political elites, academia, Wall Street, they're all incentivized in some fashion or form by the Chinese Communist Party. For corporate America, they want to get access to Chinese markets. They want to have access to essentially cheap labor because they have no labor laws in China. They want to be able to pollute the environment because that's what they do in China. For the financial elites, they get a fee for each stock that's sold to our retirement funds. For political elites, they get donations, and for academic elites, they get paid enormous sums. Some of them are getting, picked up by the Department of Justice as we speak.
And even when we look at recent headlines that are pertinent to the business here in the United States and what is happening in China, I mean, we've seen the NBA cave to China. We've seen movie theaters cave to China. We've seen now TikTok. That's the latest company that's kind of being put in the middle of the feud between the United States and China. But you're exactly right to say that these things kind of overlap. There is something to be said about a lot of people are making a lot of money because of their relationship with China. And oftentimes it may be coming at the detriment when it comes to the security of the American people or the work opportunities of the American people, especially when it comes to those making aluminum or those farmers in the Midwest who are now facing the repercussions of these decisions. But this, of course, falls during the 2020 campaign. So that's why a lot of times we're having this conversation. And the Trump campaign has put a lot of emphasis on the idea that the Biden campaign will be more easy, more cozy to China. Do you think there's some truth to that?
Well, look, I was working in the National Security Council as a member of the Joint Staff. So I worked for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs during the Obama administration. I saw the Obama administration essentially did not want to push back on China or the Chinese Communist Party. So I feel that a Biden administration will probably, institute some of those same policies. They want to tone down the rhetoric. They want to make this problem go away. And the challenge is that we see the infiltration of our society. If we don't stand up now, we're probably not going to be able to have a democracy in 20 years.
I mean, that's a very scary thing to even say, let alone recognize the reality behind that truth. And so when we acknowledge that, I'm putting politics to the side, putting the bipartisan bickering to the side. What can the United States do in order to try to even the playing field when it comes to China's misdeeds or whether it's with tariffs, the trade war, what happened with coronavirus? What type of tangible action can the United States take against China?
It's actually really easy. A democracy produces 4 things: innovation, technology, talent, and capital. What's been happening for the last 30 years, we've been sending those 4 things to China. So first, we need to protect. We need to decouple from China. Second, we need to rebuild. We need to take that innovation, technology, talent, and capital, invest in our own country. And 3, we need to inspire democracies around the world by helping them develop economically, but also their civil institutions, like the Marshall Plan that we did after World War II, where we rebuilt Europe, but also rebuilt Europe into a democracy. What China's been doing, what the Chinese Communist Party has been doing is taking the bounty of America and rebuilding the world, but then teaching them to be an authoritarian system like them because they're afraid of their own people recognizing that freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from oppression is something that they can have.
And General, that's a very clear roadmap, but are you optimistic that we'll ever get to that point, or do you think that special interests and other things that you lay out in your book will once again prevent us from ever getting there?
So the good news is the current national security strategy lays out this plan, What we're doing, what we're talking about here is implementing. So we need to get a lot of these elites out of positions of power and get in a new crop of people that understand national security in the 21st century is more about ones and zeros and dollars and cents. It's not about fighting a war. It's about fighting economic warfare, psychological warfare, media warfare. These are the tools of the Chinese Communist Party.
And I think that's something that everybody on both sides of the aisle can kind of agree with to some degree. I hope that they can put aside, as we were saying, all that bickering and really take that advice that you're giving right there, because I think it's good advice, and I think it's advice that could really change the lives of a lot of American people. But General Robert Spalding, I really appreciate you coming on tonight and breaking down this very important issue for us. Thank you.
Thank you.